Hello, welcome or welcome back. Today I want to walk you through a 2025 reset through the lens of mental health and wellness. So it's going to be really gentle and it's going to help you set intentions for the new year rather than setting strict, rigid resolutions or goals that you may not actually be able to follow through with in 6 months' time because life just throws crazy things at you. So this morning I woke up and I journaled out all of the things that I really wanted to talk about in this video that I feel like is going to be really grounding and supportive for every single person, no matter where they are in their life, no matter what 2024 looked like, no matter what they want 2025 to look like. I've compiled a bunch of things that are really supportive of mental health and wellness in general. So it's not something like becoming the it girl or making a lot of money or whatever it is that some of those videos on the internet are circulating about. This video is really about gentle alignment with your true self and how to implement intentions and rhythms rather than setting strict resolutions or routines. So I'm going to talk all about that in this video, how you can reset your life and change your mindset and change up the patterns in your day to really align with what you specifically are meant to call in and attract in the new year. But first, I have a whole day full of clients. So I'm going to film a little bits and bobs throughout my day as I reflect with the new year with my own clients. Right now it's Monday, December 30th, and it is 2 days until the new year. So my schedule is packed as a holistic wellness counselor. All of my clients are coming in, and I'm pretty sure the theme that we're going to be talking about is the new year and the goals that they want to set, or some of the things they want to let go of, things they want to call into their life. And so I'm sure that as I talk with my clients about exactly what I'm going to share with you today, that more insights and revelations and epiphanies are going to come to my own mind. So I showed you my little morning routine. I did a lovely meditation. I journaled out everything I really wanted this video to get across to you guys. And now I'm going to jump into a bunch of really grounding sessions. I'm so excited. I love the end of the year and the beginning of the new year, specifically in my line of work, because I can really help people siphon what they are trying to get across in conversation and really hone in on the main thread for the next year and really help them, set their lives up for success in a really gentle and compassionate way. So I'm really excited to do that with my clients and then also share everything I talk about with them with you throughout the day. So right now I'm going to finish setting up the space for some in-person clients and I'll talk to you guys soon. Okay, hello. I just saw a few clients and I've written down a few themes that have popped up and I'm excited to share them with you guys. So, the first thing I wanted to share with you guys is how I am personally shutting out the external noise during the season of life. The new year is such a great time to set goals and think about the parts of yourself or the parts of your life that you want to leave behind, and also the parts of your life that you'd like to call inward, ways that you can align deeper with your highest self and find your true path in this life. And that's all great, and this time of year is such a great opportunity to foster that connection with yourself. However, it is also a time where you could potentially get swept away in comparison and thinking you need to do certain things in order to be happy or successful. Really just kind of like comparing where you're at with where other people are and thinking that there's something wrong with you, that you need to hustle and work really hard to become like those other people. And honestly, most of the time what we're seeing is a highlight reel, what people are selecting for us to see. And so in this season of the year, how can you shut out the noise a little bit to come back home and come back deeper into your own inner knowing and sense of self and create your resolutions and intentions from that inner place of knowing rather than feeling like you're less than or behind in some area of life? So I've written down a few things that I'm personally doing and I have done in previous years to shut out the noise of the external world and really come inward so that I can let things go and call things in from a place of clarity, alignment, grace, and compassion. The first thing I'm doing is creating pockets of stillness and mindfulness throughout my days. Life can be busy, and if between all of the busyness we're scrolling on our phones, or I don't even know what else we could be doing, but like if we're not mindful or present within the moments of our days, in between all of the hecticness of it all, then it's really easy to lose ourselves and lose sight of who we're meant to be, where we're meant to be going, and what actually serves us and brings us joy. I'm also delaying the consumption of social media until at least a few hours after I wake up. I know this is so terrible, but I've fallen victim to it. So if you're in this, pool of people, you're not alone. I would wake up and immediately start like doing things on my phone, right? I converse a lot through email, and so I need to have my email like notifications on where I like see the number of emails I have. That can be really stressful because I wake up and I go to shut off my alarm and then I see I have 10 emails, and that just, I don't know. It immediately makes me feel like I'm in work mode. It makes me feel stressed. It makes me feel like I'm behind. I wake up and it's pretty early. It's like 6:30 in the morning, but I wake up feeling rushed and behind. And so what I've been doing is I've been delaying looking at my phone for at least a few hours after waking up so that those few hours can just be between me and me and my thoughts, me and my meditation practice, me and my journal, me and me. And then I can gently bring in the noise of the external world and technology when I feel grounded, when I feel like I have spent enough time in the morning with just myself. I'm also intending this year to create more than I consume. And this doesn't need to look like content creation, although that is something I'd like to do as well. It can also look like redecorating, writing letters, cooking more, hosting dinner parties, dancing, making up my own yoga flow instead of watching a YouTube video, journaling more. Those are ways that I can create in my life more than just consume what other people have created. And so that's something I kind of encourage you to do. What are ways that you can create more in your days rather than just consuming what other people have made? Another thing that I do to shut out the noise of the external is I write down my stream of consciousness. I try to do this daily, but really it's more like a few times a week when I remember. But waking up and just jotting down all of your thoughts into a journal, but it's super unfiltered. You're just allowing your hand to write. And it doesn't even need to be like coherent full sentences. It can be fragments, it can be thoughts, it can be a little bit of your dreams, like actually the dreams you had when you were sleeping or your dreams in your real life, just anything that's in your head, getting it out and onto paper. When that happens, you release a lot of the mental load that you're carrying around in your head. And also when it's written on paper and you can actually visibly look at it and read it back, you tend to put some of the puzzle pieces together, and the things that seemed confusing up here, they seem more manageable when they're on paper. Another thing I do to shut out the noise of the external world is I meditate on my goals. And I do that to make sure that my next step, like my next course of action, is actually aligned with me. Because a lot of the times I will take my inspiration for action from other people or from things that I'm comparing myself with. I think I need to be here, so I should be doing X, Y, or Z. When really, if I take a step back and I meditate on where I'm meant to go, what I'm meant to be doing, who I'm meant to be doing it with, then I get clear, concise actions that are aligned with me specifically, and they're not just me freaking out, feeling like I'm behind because I've been scrolling on Instagram too much and everyone seems to have their shit together and I don't. So that's a really big one, is meditating on my own goals before taking action. Obviously, I have written down resting before I approach burnout. I'm a hustler, I'm a Capricorn, and I also just constantly feel like I'm behind in life, and that's something I'm personally working on. And so making sure that I'm taking time out of my weeks and my months to rest in order to prevent burnout is extremely important. And then another thing I'm doing to shut out the noise is I'm making goals only 1 month in advance, right? Because honestly, if I looked back at all of 2024 and myself at the very end of 2023, end of 2023, Danielle could not have predicted all that unfolded in the year of 2024. And so I couldn't have possibly made good, smart goals for each month, right? And so what I'm planning on doing is shutting out the noise of the future world and the future external world. And I'm just focusing on the month of January. Where do I want to be? Does that feel good to me? Yeah, okay. What are some things I can do within just the next month that can bring me closer to those goals? And then in February, I can reevaluate those and see, wait, is this still for me? Is this still the path I'm on? Maybe I can refine some of my goals. So instead of thinking like I need to plan out my whole year, I'm just going to plan out the next few weeks and just kind of see where life takes me, surrendering to the flow of the magic of it all. And so if you are online and you're seeing these people talk about like all of these goals they have for the year and all of these like smart goals that they're going to set to actually accomplish them, just think about how like at the end of the year, life could possibly take them on a whole different direction and they might not hit all of those goals even though they planned everything out to a T. So don't feel bad if you don't know what you want to do in September of 2025. So the next thing I want to share are some healthy habits that if they resonate with you, right, take it or leave it, I encourage you to try out and play with these next few weeks as you embark on a whole new year. So let's get into it. First, I encourage you to look at these 7 dimensions of wellness to inform what areas of your life you're setting goals and intentions in. The 7 dimensions of wellness are emotional wellness, physical wellness, social wellness, environmental wellness, intellectual wellness, financial wellness, and spiritual wellness. So this is what I mean by reflect on those areas before you set goals. What I do and what I've heard from, I think it was a podcast or a book from grad school, I'm like forgetting exactly where I learned this from, but you write down all 7 dimensions of wellness on the left side of the paper, and then horizontally you'll write the numbers like 1 through 10. And so you'll go through each and you'll mark where you feel like you are in those 7 dimensions. So for example, when I look at it, I feel like physically, intellectually, spiritually, like all those areas, I'm pretty good. I'm at like a 7, right? Like I feel like I'm pretty good. And how much do I want to improve at the end of the year? Maybe like an 8 or a 9, right? Not much too, and I can make some goals in those categories, but the whole point is that you write down the number of where you feel like you are now. 1 being like really super unwell in that area, and 10 being like the most well you could be. And then you see where the biggest gaps are. So first you write down where you are now, and then you write down the number that you want to be at the end of the year, and like keeping it realistic. So for example, financially speaking, if you just had all of these things pop up, like you just graduated college, you're paying off your student loans, you just had to get a car, like maybe financially you're at like a 2 or a 3, you don't feel really well in that area. But do you really expect yourself to jump from a 2 to a 3 to a 10 in 1 year? Probably not. So let's say your goal is to go from a 3 to a 6. Right? Maybe you don't have all your student loans and your car thing paid off at the end of the year, but you feel like you're able to manage your money more. You have extra spending money, you're saving and investing, all those things. And so that's an example of like how you can look at where you're starting and then think at the end of the year, what's a realistic number that I want to shoot for to be in that area of wellness? So you write down 2 numbers, where you are, where you want to be, and then once you've done that for all 7 dimensions, you look at which ones have the biggest gap. So for example, let's say for me, socially, I'm at like a 5 and I want to be at a 7 at the end of the year. But spiritually, I feel like I'm at like an 8 and maybe I want to be at like a 9 at the end of the year. So I might not make super big goals or may not focus my goals in those areas because they're pretty good. But let's say, environmentally speaking, I'm in a really bad living situation. I'm not, by the way, I'm just using this as an example. Let's say I'm in a really bad living situation. It's really affecting all the other areas of my wellness. It's affecting my mental health. It's affecting my finances because I keep spending money going other places because I hate the apartment I live in and my roommates. So let's say, environmentally speaking, you're at like a 2 and you really just want to be comfortable at like a 6 or a 7 at the end of the year, then that's the area that you're going to focus the most on when making your goals because that has the biggest gap. Right? So do that for yourself. Write down the 7 dimensions of wellness, write down where you are, where you want to be at the end of the year, and then focus your goals and intentions on the ones that are going to improve your life the most, right? The ones where you are the lowest, those are the ones that you want to set the goals for. Next thing I have written down is to set intentions rather than goals. And this is why. You know, SMART goals like SMART, the acronym, which is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound, those are really important for things that like need to happen in a specific time frame. Not all of our goals are like that. A lot of the things that we achieve in life We can achieve better when we have intentions or broader goals rather than like super specific and measurable goals, because like I said before, life throws curveballs your way and things may change and you may need to adapt to those changes and like pivot in the moment. So if you have all of these really strict goals, it's going to be challenging to say the least to actually attain all of them, and then you're just going to feel like shit about yourself. So set intentions either for each category of the 7 dimensions of wellness, or just like intentions for yourself, intentions for your social life, intentions for your career, intentions for your, physical fitness. For example, instead of saying, I'm going to go to the gym Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 6 a.m., just say, I'm going to move my body in some way that feels aligned every single day, aiming to strength train 2 to 3 times a week. Right now, that doesn't mean you have to do like your pull or push day on a Tuesday, right? That gives you a lot more freedom and flexibility and allowing life to, move with you rather than you forcing life to fit into some type of box that you think is going to make you happy. So I recommend setting intentions rather than goals. But goals, like very specific and measurable goals, those are really good for things like, going back to the environment example. If you are feeling just super terrible in your living environment, maybe that's something that you make a really SMART goal, like the acronym SMART, right? Because you're like, I'm going to move out in 3 months' time. And so this is how much money I need to save. This is the time I need to start looking for another apartment, like X, Y, or Z. Like that is when you make a really specific goal, because that's the area of your life that's causing you the most emotional drain and stress. And so when it's not that intense of a change you want to make this year, set an intention. When it is something that really is affecting your life and you can, then set a goal. Also here is kind of what I mentioned before. I encourage you to set goals only 1 month or like a quarter in advance. Like the first quarter of the year is January, February, March. If you are going to be setting goals, like specific goals, I recommend only setting a few and having them be like shorter. So either a month or a few months in advance. Like for example, I plan on moving out in 3 months, or I plan on having $10,000 in my savings in 6 months' time. Like that's kind of the most that I would really do with goals, but making them like a shorter time frame in the whole year. Another thing I wrote is to create morning and night rhythms rather than strict routines. We see all over YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all of those things. My morning routine, my night routine, and let me tell you, I've never tried to film a morning or night routine specifically because if I were to try to record it, it would take like 2 hours longer than it actually takes, and I wouldn't be really in it and it wouldn't be enjoyable. So when you see those videos, I'm letting you know right now, that's not really their morning and night routine. That is them filming a version of their morning and night routine, probably the one that's like the best. And so when you see all those things, like, yeah, maybe they are doing them, but maybe they're not doing them as long or as intentionally, right? And so for you specifically, create things in your morning and your night that make you feel like, okay, this is my morning, and okay, this is me unwinding. It can be 5 minutes, it can be an hour, whatever feels good for you, but make it more of like a rhythm that you fall into, like a gentle dance or a flow as you wake up and as you flow and go to bed, rather than saying like, okay, I need to do this 10-step skincare routine and meditate and journal and do all these things. And sure, like if you want to reset like a month, right? Like it's the beginning of the month, you want to do like a big reset and you want to like do all of these things, great. But as far as an everyday thing, be realistic and gentle with yourself. Realistically, how much are you going to be able to get done in the morning and night? Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just have a nice rhythm and dance with yourself rather than making it a strict routine. I also wrote down, spend more time embodying who you want to be and how you want to feel rather than chasing external validation. This is a big theme of 2025 for me. How can I become the version of myself that is the most happy, the most joyful, the most abundant, without chasing external validation or external circumstances that prove to my brain that I have obtained it already? Like if I want to create abundance physically, how can I create abundance in my life now? Abundance in my heart, abundance in my mind, right? So that's what I mean. How can you embody what you desire instead of chasing it outside of you? That's a really good question to ponder going into the new year, and one that I've spent the last few weeks pondering, and I still feel like I can continue to unravel that question, find more answers within myself. Also, this is so important. Find more pockets of presence and mindfulness. Carve them out throughout your day. Time is not going to just kind of fall from the sky into your lap. if you want to create more moments where you feel like embodied in the moment, present, like you are being a person in this moment and you are enjoying whatever it is that's around you, you need to carve out and create that time. It is so easy to just bulldoze through life. And so, how can you really sit down and say, all right, from this time to this time, I'm going to just shut my phone off, take out my yoga mat, and just stretch, just be with myself. Maybe I meditate, maybe I dance, maybe I do more of like a Pilates yoga, maybe I literally just do a few stretches. But how can I just be with myself, my thoughts, and my body in this present moment? Again, it could be 5 minutes or it could be an hour, depending on what your day looks like. But you have to carve out that time. It will not fall from the sky. I also have nourish yourself like you would care for your child or a loved one. This time of the year, I know a lot of people are thinking about health and fitness and their diets. And as someone who has a history of having an eating disorder, this time can be kind of triggering for me because I think, uh-oh, do I need to make myself smaller like everybody else? So use this time to ask yourself, how am I nourishing my body? Am I nourishing it with things that are really going to fuel and energize it with vitamins and minerals that make it healthy? Or am I just feeding it junk food, right? How can I nourish myself fully to the extent that I would my child, or how I would want my loved one to nourish themselves? You wouldn't want your loved one or your child to starve themselves because they feel like they don't look right. You'd want your loved one to feed themselves until they're satiated and full with foods that are actually nourishing their body. So how can you offer that to yourself, making it less about how you look, more about how you feel, and more about, what is on your plate rather than how much is on your plate? And with that comes moving your body in ways that feel good, not punishing it, but really allowing it the space to do what it wants, right? Your body knows like when you want to do cardio, when you need some more strength training, when you need to stretch, when you need a rest day. How can you tap in, listen to your body, and ask it, how do you want to move today? How do you want to be nourished today? And doing that from a place of grace and love for yourself. And two things left that I feel like are so important when it comes to mindset in the new year. One, I have process your emotions and work towards rewiring limiting beliefs rather than sweeping them under the rug and just moving on through life. Again, so easy to bulldoze through life. This year, I challenge you to make it a priority to work through those emotional blocks, purge them, rewire your limiting beliefs, change your mindset, change your perspective so that you can ultimately change your life. And then the last thing I have written down is to get outside your comfort zone in one small way that will propel you towards the direction of your dreams. Your dream life, I imagine, might not be the life you're living right now. So in order to obtain different results, you need to do different things in this present moment. And if they're different, they're oftentimes going to be at least a little bit uncomfortable. So how can you challenge yourself to get outside your comfort zone, take aligned action towards the directions of your dreams? I'm going to leave you off with that list as you ponder and reflect on it. As you can see, I didn't really write anything, super strict or rigid in that list. And that's what I've been talking with my clients about today, right? Like, it's not about like writing down something super specific that you have to reach, because then it's either I did it or I did not, right? It's either I succeeded or I failed. And we don't want to set you up for failure in the new year, right? If it's an intention, then it's not like, yes, I did it or no, I didn't. It's a spectrum. It's how well did I fulfill that intention today, right? And then so you can't really fail at that. If anything, as you reflect on your intentions, you're collecting data about yourself, about the world, how you work within the world. And so when you set a very specific goal, it's like pass or fail. When you set an intention, it's how aligned am I? And that is a much better question to ask yourself because it offers a growth mindset. It offers you a springboard of where to go rather than making you feel defeated like you failed at something. And that has been such a big theme just specifically today as I've been talking with my clients. So I added some things to that list that I was journaling out this morning to offer you a concise but not rigid approach to resetting your life in the new year in 2025, quarter of a century, can't believe we're here, and in a way that is gentle, in a way that is keeping your mental health and your emotional well-being in mind. So I wanted to offer that approach because I know there are so many videos out there on the internet, and I wanted to make sure that I was contributing something not just of value, but something that had mental health informing it, so that people are getting access to information that is gentle, does have their emotional well-being in mind, and yet it's also encouraging and inspiring you to become a better version of yourself, or embodying a more aligned version of yourself. So that is all I have for you guys today in the Reset Your Life in 2025. I was gonna show more of like the specifics of how I do it, but again, I didn't want to contribute to the comparison trap that a lot of people can fall into. So I wanted to offer those things instead of kind of showing you the specifics of what I do, because guess what? What works for me probably isn't gonna work for you, or at least not all of it. So I hope that something I said in today's video inspired you as you go forth and embrace the new year. I am sending so much light and love your way, and I cannot wait to talk to you guys in the next video. Bye!